Hi there, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a little clip from Rich Scott Democracy Theater, where this time I try to connect some dots that I feel are not being connected. I want to try to not be hysterical, and I just want to add some things to what's going on. So today, President Trump tweeted out, Iran should have signed the deal I told them to sign. What a shame and a waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. Well, so first of all, there's a lot of, you know, Israel attacks uh, Iran preemptively, and everybody. There's like this. There's this weird thing as if we didn't already know this was going to happen, right? And again, it's never what you think it's about, what's right in front of you. What it is about is, as always, about Russia, which is the one thing here that is missing. But I think people forget that we were told this, right? We were told that this ambition was in the American government right after the World War II, when General Patton literally got fired for, pissing off the Russians, right? Because he wanted to take Russia while they were at their weakest. But it seems like everybody has forgotten this little clip.
I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No, no." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al Qaeda?" He said, "No, no." He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later. And by that time, we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper. He said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today. And he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
So finishing off Iran is where he misses, because it was, again, it's not about Iran, right? So what are the dots that I want to connect? So the war that was always coming, right? This war, this big war, this clash between the old empire, the first real challenge to it from the outside after decades of putting their best effort into undermining civil society in the West. Putin invades Ukraine. Remember all the accounts that say, "Oh, that's never happening," and now they're just this is WMDs again, and blah 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 blah. Right? It's never going to happen. Well, it happened. Now, Putin miscalculated. He thought that Ukraine would fall. I mean, honestly, it goes further back, right? It really goes back to Obama's limp-wristed response to the annexation of Crimea, right? Putin was like, "All right, power never stops. Power never stops. Power never stops unless power is met with power," right? You can't stop a train by hitting it. Right? You have to have a force that's stronger to stop it, and to reverse it, it has to be even stronger again. Right? So he was like, "Ah, fuck it," and like they always do, because they don't think in 4 years terms or 2 years terms. Sits around, waits a little bit, and then it's Ukraine. Right? Again, could have been stopped, wasn't stopped. That's the thing about us in the West. We're slow to respond. We let things fester, and then we end up in situations like this. Now, again, I understand why Putin is doing what he's doing. Putin is, of course, afraid of the herd coming in from uh, the West. So he has geographical needs, right? And those geographical needs look like this. Why? Because he needs his southern flank protected by water and his northern flank protected by water. Push up against the Ural Mountains. And again, protect it, because all of this here, all of that is flat. It's flat. Right? So his needs are not crazy. Just those are nations that don't want to be under his boot or under his thumb or whatever you want to call it. So those are his needs, right? You the behavior of America from the fall of the wall, the invasion of Ukraine, and the fact that North Korea is still standing makes the argument for why Iran wants, take the religious aspect out of it, that they want to destroy Israel, that is part of their religion, because it then says that their lineage of not Muhammad, but the other dude is the real one, and he will come down after all the Jews are killed and Israel is destroyed. Take that part about it, take it out, right? Just the fact that you're not friendly with America, and it turns out America does not invade nations that have nuclear bombs. We just don't. We don't like North Korea. North Korea is a real threat to South Korea. Fucking, they built Seoul like right next to the border, right? We have seen that artillery is still very, very, very important in modern warfare. So yeah, that sucks. So that explains why he invades Ukraine, right? And it had nothing to do with any of the other things that was said, right? It was always geographical for him. Now that war is, excuse me, that war is existential for Putin. Can't lose it. Cannot lose it. He cannot be seen to have lost it, and he cannot lose it. Putin believes that the war is existential for the Russian Empire. It was predicted by people that know shit about demographics that Putin had to make this move, and it was predicted to happen right around COVID, and then COVID postponed it, and then out of COVID, then there was the Olympics, where Xi told Putin, yeah, you can invade, but not until after, and then there was, of course, Biden saying only the tip, right? So Russia needs, if we only have to supply arms on one little front, and we didn't have this wishy-washy relationship with it, then obviously it's easy for us to keep supplying Ukraine. They need a distraction. The Abraham Accords doesn't address the Palestinian issue, and it isolates Iran. Iran now has a motive. The Palestinians now have a motive. China has a motive. They also need to distract and deplete American weapon supplies, right? And make sure that we can't keep feeding Taiwan, because China has to take Taiwan by 2028. They also happens to be, oh, wait, look at this. There's a financial incentive. There is a brick competing infrastructure that goes from India through Saudi Arabia, in through Israel, out of Gaza, it looks like, as the train is going to go, to ports in Italy and in France, to the European Union, right? Okay, moving production to India, creating a pathway for these products to go that way. Well, that sucks because BRIC is doing the same thing. They would also like to stop that. So what do? We pull the Palestinian cards. They start some. They have their own motives, but they're also the political football in the Middle East that is always used to extract something from the West. So they are activated and being heavily punished for it. But this war had very little, or the uprising in Palestine had very little to do with liberation for the Palestinian people. It very much had to do with a brick competing infrastructure program, very much had to do with distracting the United States away from Ukraine with what little goodwill there was from the American people to give to Ukraine and then direct it towards Israel. And China needs us to deplete our weapons in both theaters and now benefit from this. So what happens? Israel starts a war with Iran, converging interest with the United States and NATO. What are you talking about, Rich Scott? Well, look at this. Here's what's going to happen, or what's happening. China imports 90% of the energy that Iran produces. That's a chunk. It's not a lot, but it's enough to impact the markets, right? We're already seeing that. So that's impacting the markets. China has less secure supply because Iran is an ally. Now they have a less secure energy supply line as they prepare for their move on Taiwan. At the same time, Russia has been hammering Ukraine with Iranian-made drones, right? Now, you think Iran is going to keep sending those drones to Russia to shoot at Ukraine? No. So now that alleviates pressure on that front. Now, again, I am not. I don't want to see Americans participate in bombing Iran. Just like I don't want American boots in Ukraine. I want us to supply weapons to Ukraine. Israel can fucking buy what they need, but we should sell them if they need bunker busters or whatever. Then sell them that. Sell them that. We are a weapons manufacturing economy. That's what we do. I wish it was different. I wish we were selling something better, something that didn't kill so directly. But that's just not the case. So you see how the war with Iran was always coming. The fact that it's coming now is a convergence of the interest of the United States needing to be alleviated by the pressure put on the United States with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, right? And Hamas's skirmish or whatever to Israel that then was pushed back and is now ending up in this, right? Now, by alleviating that, by Israel again attacking Iran, destroying their oil fields, and making sure they need all the weapons that they produce themselves, is now helping out the United States. Uh, so those are the dots. That's how I see the landscape. I also want to address all the big account out there that are telling you about American boots on the ground in Iran are out of their they're out of their mind. They're out of their mind. So first of all, in the first Iraq War, we staged 250,000 troops and support personnel and all their equipment, and it took 4 months to get it into place. And we could stage it in friendly countries right on the border with, or very close to the border with Iraq. Iraq didn't have any long range missiles. There was no danger to our troops. We had total air superiority, which obviously Israel already has air superiority over that is the western part of Iran, including Tehran. But that doesn't mean they can't shoot the missiles from these mountain caves that they have created, or these. Calling it a cave is really a disservice to the magnificent engineering that's behind what they've done, right? So that's 4 months, 250,000 troops in friendly nations right next door. Go look at a map. Go look at a map of Iran. Look at the terrain. Look at the mountain ranges. Look at the swamp areas. Then look at the nations next to it. And then tell me where are we going to stage? So I believe 1 million. We would need 1 million to go into a ground war with Iran. We would need 1 million soldiers, but let's just say half. Definitely can't do it with 250, right? So let's say 500,000 troops, because we're that much better, and with our air superiority and everything else, it's going to be that much easier. So 500,000, 250,000, no, 500,000, right? It's not that easy. Iran is not Iraq. Iran is not Syria. Iran is not Libya. Iran is not even Czechoslovakia or Yugoslavia. It's none of that. It is blessed, kind of like America, right? Blessed with geography. And it's very, very hard to take Iran on. So all the people that are screaming about that, all the people that are talking about it they're not serious. They haven't looked at the they haven't looked at the map. They probably have, the most service they've done is playing paintball, which is fun as fuck. It is fun. But again, 500,000 troops, tanks, armored personnel vehicle, setting up temporary barracks. Outs. I mean, I believe they have missiles already that are close to or certainly can hit Israel, right? So they can hit Israel. So you just draw a line from Tel Aviv and then circle all the way around and then see how far away we have to stage just with what we know they can shoot. And then look at what nations, and then look at the terrain in between where you want to stage the troops, and then you want to attack Iran. I mean, I didn't fucking go to a military college. I'm not an officer. I'm a grunt. But I don't see it. I mean, obviously it can be done, but it doesn't look like it's on the table now. So the people that are saying it, you can tell them, hey, wake me up when they start moving. Like when in the Iraq War, they had like Danish shipping company Maersk McKinney. They were shipping American troops over for free. It's a massive, massive logistical operation to move American troops into position for a land war with a nation like Iran. Massive. There's no way we wouldn't know about it. And there's no way we won't know about it in months in advance. But again, this is not about Iran. For Israel, it's about Iran. For Israel, it's about Iran. For Israel, it's about not letting a nation that, for religious reasons, not for geopolitical reasons, but for religious reasons, believe you need to be destroyed and wiped off the planet of the earth. Right? Can't, Israel has good reason. Iran has good reasons. Everybody has good reasons. It's existential for everybody. Makes it all fun and games, right? Hey, there's nothing like nuclear powers that are in existential fights, right? In Ukraine, that's an existential fight for Ukraine. Yeah, they're not a nuclear power, but this is also an existential fight for Russia. And yeah, they are winning, whatever that looks like for them. And then it is also an existential threat for NATO and the United States. Because if it looks like we are walking away from a European nation being attacked, that's going to add to the deterioration of any trust that this nation has to operate. And whether you like it or not, it's better the nation trusts us and likes us than fears us. Because when they fear us, they run away at the first chance they get, as every Eastern European nation did when the wall came down. So, again, the war was always coming. This is the last push into finishing up Russia, and then uh, I guess China is then the last thing. That's what this is about. It's always been about that. It was never about anything else. Russia is a massive country that an American superpower or a Chinese superpower cannot have. They cannot have a Russia. It just can't exist because it has a massive amount of raw material, but they're falling apart because demographically they're just falling apart. And we want it all. It's not the world that I like. It's not the world that I want to live in, but it is the world as it is. So Russia did what they did because existentially they believe they need that fortification, and they know they have to do it now because of the demographics of the country. Existential. Ukraine is part of Russia's existential needs, geographical needs, making this an existential fight for Ukraine. NATO has made, or America has made promises. Great Britain has made promises. France has made promises. Walking away from that, from an aggression, when you know everybody, if you know that Russia's geographical needs, you know that eventually, if you don't stop him now, he will move towards the Baltic states. It's just going to happen because he needs it, not because he's evil, not because he's bad, but because he loves his country and he believes that's how he protects his country from the West. It's not hard. You want to make it hard. The solutions are hard. What are we going to do about it is hard. But what Putin needs and what he wants is straightforward. You can't have it. Clearly, you can't possibly believe that another nation can just take another nation because they feel that they're afraid. Well, fuck, everybody's afraid living next to America and South and Central America because guess what? We fucking just invade them whenever we want to. The nations in Eastern Europe didn't run into the arms because Russia was such a great fucking country to be a buffer state for, right? And then there are the whatever in this game of risk where there seem to be two, three major players, a couple of minimum players. Uh, we are at the end stages of that game. Russia was always the prize. Iran is just a step over for us. Converging interest between Israel and the United States makes this good. It makes it good for Ukraine. It makes it good for us. That was the reason China came out with the statement that they did. Obviously, it's not like they're going to run out of energy. Obviously, we're going to be, we, the consumer, we Americans are going to be punished by this, by the prices that are going to go up. But this is not madness. I mean, what is mad is that we as humans haven't figured out to live together, right? That's madness. But in this tribal nation state system that we live in, with these major players and everybody can't share and live together, nobody here is crazy. Everybody is doing the things that is in their self-interest for very good reasons. It is impossible. You're not a fair-minded person if you can't sit down and make the argument for every side in this and look at it and say, yeah, that's a gothic nut. I saw again saying from whatever saying Yuga. He was on Flagrant or not Flagrant, Brilliant Idiots, right? And Andrew gives him the hypothetical. Yeah, but here couldn't there be another reason than uh, like maybe they want to get out of the oil business and they want to do something else, and then they understand they can't have this terrorist base in the middle of the Middle East, and that's why they're looking the other way while Israel is destroying them. Could that be it? And he couldn't entertain that at all. He couldn't entertain that at all, which is again, the Palestinians was left out of the Abraham Accords. Nobody gave a shit. The people in the West care more about the Palestinian issues than nearly anybody else in the region. That matters. That matters, right? This ain't a fucking democracy. Sit the fuck down. That matters. Yeah, the king comes out, the prince comes out, says, yeah, I really think we should do something else. And then he goes back in and it's like, yeah, okay, keep going. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. So, yeah, the Palestinians, let's say that the Palestinian leadership did it for Palestinian liberation, which is, of course, absolutely bullshit. But they certainly got the case up on the thing, but they're not going to get what they wanted. So now here we are. Again, the Palestinian people suffer because the people that care about them do not live around them and are not in charge. They live in the West mostly. We in the West care more about the Palestinian issue than in the surrounding nations. Yeah, I know I just said that, but I'll say it again. That's why that hasn't been solved, because it's a political football. It's a useful political football that no longer has any usefulness. So, hey, Israel, take care of it. If Iran gets a nuclear bomb, the Saudis have to get a nuclear bomb. UAE has to get a nuclear bomb. Turkey has to get a nuclear bomb. Now, again, none of these nations, oh, I don't know. Yeah, I take that back. I was going to say that none of those nations would, for religious reasons, fire one off. I mean, if you're almost losing a war, yeah, I mean, I can't understand using nuclear bombs, but I will grant the use of nuclear bombs to be your last option, right? But to use them because of religious reasons, because your religious book tells you that these people over here, if they exist at all and in this land, then he won't, your Messiah won't come back. They can't have nuclear bombs, right? But again, summarize, Russia's the end point from Patton all the way up through the Cold War, Ronald Reagan's deals, through Bill Clinton, all the way up to now. It's always been about Russia. I don't know what he's doing. I don't get what's going on here vis-a-vis Ukraine with Donald Trump. But when it occurred to me that he's actually helping, or that Israel's attack is actually alleviating some of the pressure on Ukraine because of the lack of drones that will be sent from Iran to Russia, those things started to make sense. Anyway, this was long. I hope this added to your knowledge or to your not even understanding, because I don't, who the fuck am I? But it's a perspective. It's a different perspective. There's reasons for why these things are going on. That doesn't make them good. It doesn't make them right. It doesn't make it how it should be. Right? It just is. Right? We have two very existential conflicts going on right now. The war between Israel and Iran is very much existential. More so for the regime of Iran. And obviously, Netanyahu has his own internal problems that probably, I don't know, they're clearly postponed because of the conflicts. An argument could be made that if the United States assisted Israel by flying bombers, not with boots on the ground, but with bombers, could bomb much bigger, much more, and much faster, and therefore ending it all much faster. That's an argument that could be true, but I still don't want American planes or in the air over Iran, and I don't want any American boots on the ground. Israel can handle this if it's going to take them a little longer time, if that's going to be more critical for the people of Israel, then so be it. They will probably come out ahead in this. And yeah, that's certainly not where we should be. Anyway, again, I hope you got something out of this. I hope it added a little bit to your perspective, or certainly gave you a more collective idea of what's going on and all the moving parts in these conflicts, and how they are all connected from beginning to end. Anyway, take care of yourself and take care of each other.